The year is 480 BC. 2,500 years ago, ancient Greece is under attack from a vast Persian invasion force led by King Xerxes. Several thousand Greek warriors led by the Spartan King Leonidas will become glorious heroes, and their bloody last stand will pass into legend. This is the story of the Battle of Thermopylae. With over 4 years of preparations complete, Xerxes embarked on his invasion. His first obstacle was the crossing of the Hellespont. His engineers lashed together hundreds of boats across the water, but just as it was completed, a violent storm destroyed the bridge. However, within several months, a new, magnificent bridge was rebuilt. In mainland Greece, a debate was raging between city-states on what to do about the invasion. King Leonidas of Sparta was to lead a force to counter the invasion, but strict religious duties forbid a major army to be activated at this time. King Leonidas visited the oracle at Delphi for advice. The prophecy was terrible. The historian Herodotus relates what the oracle prophesied for King Leonidas. Hear your fate, O dwellers in Sparta of the wide spaces. Either your famed great town must be sacked by Persia's sons, or the whole of Sparta shall mourn the death of a king of the house of Heracles. If Leonidas was going to fight, he would have to act soon. The great Persian army had crossed the Hellespont and was moving into Greece unopposed. 300 warriors of Sparta were chosen by Leonidas to meet the Persians. These warriors were chosen as an advanced guard. Inspired by the Spartan example, other city-states rallied to the cause. Athens had already agreed to send its formidable navy. Thebes and Thespe swelled the infantry ranks to over 4,000. Even so, according to the historian Herodotus, the Greek force was still outnumbered, 500 to 1 by land and 3 to 1 by sea. In August 480 BC, King Leonidas, with 300 Spartans and an unknown number of Helot slaves, left their sacred homeland for a place known as the Hot Gates. By the middle of August 480 BC, the Greeks arrived at Thermopylae. Steep mountains rose before them, and hot springs poured down the mountainside, giving Thermopylae its name, the Gates of Fire. The sea came close to the mountains, leaving only a narrow pass along the coast. A small army could block and defend it with ease. It was the last defensive position on Xerxes' road to Athens. The battle plan was to block the way south along a defensive line that stretched from Thermopylae on land across a narrow channel of water to the island of Artemisium. Holding the line by sea was the Athenian navy. Defending it by land were the Spartans and their Greek allies. The Spartans began to rebuild an old defensive wall, helping to block the pass. There would only be a narrow funnel for the Persians to move through. There was, however, one weakness to the plan. Known only to local Greeks, there was a mountain pass that led over the mountains from the north of the Greek position to behind the Greek position. Leonidas sent a small contingent of Phocian allies to guard the mountain pass, which numbered around 1,000 men. The Greeks then awaited the Persian army to arrive. By late August, Xerxes reached Thermopylae. The vast Persian army, estimated to be around 200,000 strong and made up of over 40 different nationalities, made camp. The only thing that lay between the Persians and the Greeks was the narrow pass. Xerxes decided to wait, thinking that the Greeks may retreat after seeing the huge army camped. Xerxes waited for 5 days, but the Greeks did not budge. On the morning of the 5th day, Xerxes ordered the attack. Persian troops squeezed through the coastal pass and met the Greek bronze shield wall. Leonidas and his men packed tightly together in wall formation, spears held aloft. When the lines collided, the Persian troops soon found themselves outmatched and outclassed by the Greek phalanx shield wall. Rank after rank fell and Persian casualties mounted. On seeing this, Xerxes gave the order to retreat. By late afternoon, Xerxes decided to send in his elite troops to unblock the pass. These troops were known as the Immortals. They were the cream of his army, that even included members of his own family. But even the Persian elite troops were no match for the Spartans. As the Immortals made contact with the Spartan phalanx, a brutal fight ensued. But again, Spartan training, discipline and weapons caused huge casualties in the Immortal ranks. Their bodies littered the pass. Xerxes was overlooking the battle and was furious. He gave the order for his elite troops to retreat. The pass at Thermopylae became a cauldron of death. It was piled high with mutilated and rotting Persian corpses. At the end of the 2nd day, Xerxes realized that his numerical superiority counted for nothing in the narrow pass. There seemed to be no solution to this Greek problem. Then a local Greek called Ephialtes came forward and offered to sell information to Xerxes that could possibly solve this Greek problem and also even win the battle. In return for gold, he would show the Persians a secret mountain pass that led around to the back of the Greek position. Xerxes paid Ephialtes the gold, and the pass was unlocked. Xerxes sent his Immortals through the secret mountain pass. All that stood in their way was the contingent of Phocians, 1,000 strong. They had orders to guard the mountain pass, but when the Phocians saw the advancing Persians, they panicked and retreated to higher ground. The Persian troops ignored the Phocians and marched on. Word was carried to Leonidas that a Persian force was moving fast through the secret pass, and that by morning they would be surrounded. On hearing this grave news, Leonidas allowed his Greek allies to leave Thermopylae. A small band of Thebans and Thespians refused to leave and stood alongside the Spartans. Leonidas faced the Persians one last time. Surrounded, the Greeks could no longer defend the pass. Leonidas and his warriors retreated to a small hill where they would make their last stand, with the intention that the Persians would pay dearly for every drop of Greek blood. The Persian soldiers surrounded the hill, and then they made their move. The Persian troops attacked, and a brutal fight raged. During the battle, King Leonidas was brutally cut down, but his troops fought on, protecting their king's corpse. Persian arrows rained down upon the hill, and the Greeks were slain. There were no survivors. Xerxes, in a vengeful rage, had King Leonidas's head cut from his corpse and stuck on the top of a pike. The pass at Thermopylae had not been held. The Persian horde marched on to Athens, which they besieged and burned. However, further Greek resistance, including a major Spartan army, would ultimately stop the great Persian invasion of ancient Greece. But that is another story. Leonidas, his Spartans, and those Greek allies that died at Thermopylae passed into legend, a legend that would reverberate down the ages.